the way back, please, sir.
Well, Master Oren, I'd like to thank you for coming to Emory University. My question is, a basic principle of international law is reciprocity. If a law is applied to one nation, it's called hypocrisy. However, it's applied to both nations, then it's called a moral standard. You stated that the Palestinians do not serve a state because no representative from the Palestinian government recognized the international boundaries of Israel. However, in 2004, the United Nations International Court of Justice...
Slow down just a
Wait,
minute.
I'm sorry, I was being rude, and I want to take your question, but I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Can you just come in?
Come.
Better?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Oh, I'd like to first thank you for coming to Emory University. My question is that elementary principle of international law is reciprocity. If the law is applied to one nation, that's called hypocrisy. However, it's applied to both nations, that's a moral standard. You stated in your speech that the Palestinians do not serve a state because the government who support them or the government officials who represent them do not recognize Israel, recognize international boundaries. My question is therefore that if in 2004 the International Court of Justice ruled that not only was Israel's separation barrier illegal, but also that internationally recognized Palestinian state will constitute the entirety of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Therefore, what Israeli official, namely the current conservative government, recognized an international Palestinian state? How is that reciprocal to what the demands you claim from the Palestinians?
To be fair to me, I didn't say any of that. And I didn't say anything about Palestinian violation of international law. I don't think the term international law entered into my remarks at any time. But now that you brought it up, I will respond to it. The separation barrier was created during the earlier part of this decade in response to suicide bombers. There was no separation barrier there at the time of the signing of the 1993 Oslo Accords. There was no sign there during the 1990s, during the whole peace process. We created that barrier out of a sense of sadness. We had no choice because our buses were being blown up, our restaurants were being blown up, we lost close friends. I lost my sister-in-law in a bus bombing in Jerusalem. We felt that we had to build that barrier. That barrier is not a permanent barrier. That barrier has been moved in the past. It could be moved in the future. It is there simply to protect us. And frankly, at the end of the day, it also protects the Palestinian Authority because we face a common foe in the form of Hamas. And the last thing the Palestinian Authority wants is to have Hamas reestablish itself in the West Bank. I'll just reiterate what I said, what I did say. And that is, we have a vision of a two-state solution, 2 states for 2 people, which exist in mutual reciprocal recognition. And understand that that's not a tactical demand, that is a fundamental building block of peace. We recognize that the Palestinians have a legitimate claim to a homeland that is recognized in the area they call the West Bank, they call Palestine. But we're asking them the same thing. Recognize us as indigenous to this area with a legitimate claim to a homeland and state in an area that has for 3,000 years been considered our national homeland. That we do say. And I think that that will hold up under any scrutiny of international law.
Over here on the right.
Please just come to the...
So in his introductory remarks, Dr. Ken Stein referred to Israel as a Jewish state to the Jewish people, and you just referred to it as 2 states for 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, is that problematic because of the many people living in Israel, Arabs, Muslims, who are not Jewish, and whether members of the Israeli government, Israeli officials who say non-Jews should swear an oath to Israel as a Jewish state, or the condition in the peace talks that the Palestinians recognize Israel as a Jewish state, if that legitimizes any of the de facto, if not de jure, discrimination that occurs in Israel against non-Jewish citizens.
Israel is the nation state of the Jewish people. This may come as a surprise to you. Israel does not have an official religion. It's not Judaism, it's not Christianity, it's not Islam. In that way, Israel is unique in the Middle East. It's actually unique among European countries too, many of which do have official religions. Israel is a nation state. The vast majority of states in the world are nation states. America is sort of the odd man out. It's a multinational state. And many nation states have laws of return like Israel has it, Bulgaria has it, Germany has it. And many nation states in the world have large non-national minorities. And the preferable situation is that you have a nation state that provides full democratic rights for those non-national minorities. That's the case in most European states. And Israel is no different than all of them. The fact that we have a large Arab minority, that Arab minority enjoys full democratic rights, that it can have members that serve of that community who represent it in the Knesset, that there is an Arab judge in our Supreme Court, that Arabs serve in our military. There was an interesting statistic published this week that there are more Bedouin joining per capita combat units in the Israeli army than there are Jews in Tel Aviv. I say this with pride. I'd like to see more Tel Avivians joining the combat unit. Shows that Arabs can enjoy full rights. That there is discrimination in Israel. There is discrimination as there is discrimination in this country, as discrimination in every country. We are a work in progress. And discrimination is something we have to fight against constantly. In our Supreme Court, in our workplace, in the homes, in the communities. It's something we recognize and struggle against. Someday, I talked about, don't confuse the fact that Israel as the sort of the nation state of the Jewish people with the solution of two states for two people. Okay? We understand that there's going to be, but someday we hope, that there will be a Palestinian state that will be the nation state of the Palestinian people. And guess what? There may be Jews living there. And they may be a minority there. And we will expect the Palestinian state to have the same relationship to those Jews that we have to Israeli Arabs. And we will expect those Jews to be loyal to that state, even though they regard themselves ethnically, religiously as Jews, and living on homeland that they regard as part of the land of Israel, even though they're not in the state of Israel. That is part of a future solution. As to the loyalty oath, it's a source of controversy, debate in Israel. It's a proposal right now. There's a long time before it's being passed, and there are many interpretations of it. Prime Minister Netanyahu has gone on record saying that if there's to be a loyalty oath, then everybody has to take it, Jews and Arabs coming into the country, immigrants. This country has a loyalty oath for immigrants. To get citizenship, you have to take a loyalty oath. One thing I guarantee you, if there is ever going to be a loyalty oath, it will not have one passage that is contained in the American loyalty oath. That is that new citizens of the United States of America commit to defend America against its enemies, and I doubt that we ever have to require Arab citizens of the United States to make that part of the oath.
So I know that the Muslim Brotherhood had lost, they didn't win any seats, they claimed it was rigged in first round parliamentary elections, but given Mubarak's age, how do you see an unfortunate regime change affecting Palestinian and Israeli negotiations?
Well, we wish him long life and health. We wish him long life and health. President Mubarak has been an important partner in our search for peace. He and Prime Minister Netanyahu have a close and good working relationship. They speak quite often. Egypt has now, for, what are we up to now? Since 1979, 31 years, has accorded with the peace agreement. He has not been engaged in combat with the in warfare and hostilities with the Egyptians since 1973. Egypt is the most prestigious Arab nation in the Middle East. The future of Israel, Egypt, the stability of Egypt is a source of a paramount Israeli interest. Let's put it that way. And we look forward to many future years of increased stability and fraternity with Egypt.